Yes, any question, any clarification that you'd like to bring out? The issues that we have discussed on a course outline, or even any other issue that is according to you as far as this unit is concerned. Oh, okay. Sorry for, can see somebody is saying that the mics are still off here. Let me look at that. Okay, so I hope now you can hear. You can try your mic now. Are you now to use your mic? Oh, okay. Let me see. Yes, I think you should be able to. Are you able to try your mic now? All right. I think, let me see if there's still something that need to be. Yes. Let's see. Sorry, I think I had put a number of settings. Okay, now. All right. I think now you should. Are you able now to use your mic? Your mic now. And there is that section to your left. Yes, Emmanuel.
Yes, good morning, sir. Hello.
Oh, God.
Hello, sir.
Lecturer. Okay, don't mute the lecturer. So I'm able to communicate with the students.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. I can hear you, Emmanuel.
Okay, my question was
yes,
on the submission of the CAT assignments.
Yes.
For example, I can see that this unit is more of it's kind of similar to computer graphics.
Yes.
And maybe some workings will be maybe some physical workings. So will we submit it as a PDF, or we can take a picture and scan it?
Yes, I think we'll need to look at all the possibilities.
Yes.
But scanning might be easier, so that somebody to do their own physical work, because what I expect is that you do some written work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives you more control on what the work you present. So it may be better the student that does their own handwritten work, and
Mm-hmm.
then they take an image of that work, then send by email.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yes, and can see has muted. And what about John? So John, are you there? John? John? All right. John is not. Is so who is any other comment? Yeah, Gunda. Yes, Gunda. You can hear me clearly, Gunda. Yes, you have a comment. You have a comment, Gunda. How are you, Gunda? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question
Yes.
on provided for for submission.
Yes.
How is it
Submission.
done?
What
When someone is late for submission of the
Yes.
CAT and the assignment, is there any
Yes.
penalty? Is there any? What do we do about it?
Yeah, we will have some things will run like when we are doing the face-to-face classes, where the lecturer will give the assignment, and then the student, of course, with the deadline described. So it's going to be very much similar, except that you may not be able to hand in your work on paper. So in this case, this will be relying entirely on the electronic means like email. In this case, because we are using this system, we are using the ZDS. We'll probably not. We can't use classroom like we did previously. Now this time we'll just use the ZDS. So you can submit your work. Will of course the lecturer will describe how is expected, whether you subscribe, you will submit your work at the portal by email. So it will be easier. Of course, we want also to make it as easy as possible. We look for the most applicable approach. So the work can be submitted either at the portal or by email, depending on what also be the best way to bring in your best, the work, the way it will also provide the content that the lecturer is looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Again.
Yes.
I can see you cannot access the library right now because we are now on e-learning.
Yes.
So how are we going to get those resources that you just mentioned when you're going through the course outline?
Yes, so those resources, as I had said, I'll check if we can get some PDF copies from the internet. But I also have already some PDF resources that have content that can be available for this unit. So what I'll do is to add them at the portal, probably at the area there at the portal, which is above the area for topic 1, just that area that's above for topic 1. I put most of these materials there so that they are easily accessible. Then you can download them or just read them online from the. But of course, to avoid having to use too much of the bundle, sometimes it may be best to just download and have them. If you have a computer then that have some good storage, then it might be best to just download. But so I'll put some of the resources that I already have, some PDF booklets. I put them at the portal.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
yes, Emmanuel. So that's how we'll look at it. Okay. So one more comment. So we can now start our unit 1. I mean, topic 1. We want to go and look at topic 1. One more comment. Yes.
I can say that this is a good platform, and
yes,
I'm actually enjoying the class, and it's nice. So
well,
yeah, it will be very nice as we continue to engage, and so that we can finish up the semester well. Otherwise, as we start, I pray that God will enable us even to go all the way to the end of the semester.
Yes. We thank God for the possibility of continuing the studies. So we really hope that the class can go on so that you don't miss your semester. If you are going to do this, it means that you are in time with your studies. So you should be able to meet your studies just where you had expected. Hopefully, this will proceed on smoothly to the very end. Yes, Timothy, any comment for now before we go back to look at now our topic 1? Any comment, Timothy? You can hear me? No comment. What about Linda? Linda, Linda. And about Mogoeri, in the comment now. Tevin. Hello, Tevin. All right, then. I think so. Let's get back to our presentation. So I want to once again, of course, again, I'm going to mute the mic, also a few other controls, and then I will share my screen so that we can open the document we'll be using for looking at our topic 1. So I'm sharing my screen in the few minutes, and then I would sorry for that. Then I'm going to display the document that we are going to use for our topic 1. So I want to believe that it is showing for now already, or no, it's still developing, just about to come on. And so sorry, it's taking a while, but almost there. Right, I think the document is now ready. Okay, let me zoom it a bit so it will be clearer. Sorry, I think there is something that is missing me. Let me get back. I think I opened the wrong document. Just a minute, sorry for that. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. Sorry for the interruption. All right, so that's the doc, and I'm sure now you see it. So we now looking at this unit, the first topic, and so it's the introduction to multimedia systems. Sorry, so multimedia is a concept here. Multimedia is media and content that uses a combination of different content forms. These contrasts with the media that use only elementary computer displays, such as text only or traditional form printed or hand produced material. Multimedia is a combination of graphic, sound, animation, and video that is delivered interactive to the user by electronic or digitally manipulated means. As the name implies, multimedia is an integration of multiple forms of media. For example, a presentation involving audio and video clips would be considered a multimedia presentation. Educational software that involves animations, sound, and text is called multimedia software. CDs and DVDs are often considered to be multimedia files since they can store a lot of data most forms of multimedia require a lot of disk space. Well, highlighting that, let's look at the next statement. Multimedia comes in many different forms. It can be almost any you can hear or see. Examples: picture, music, sound, videos, records, films, animations, and more. Modern web pages have often embedded multimedia elements, and modern browsers have support for various multimedia formats. So multimedia, talking about multimedia, that is being described here. Some parts of the document. So multimedia is what? A combination of text, graphic, sound, animation, and video. So when you have you mix up these forms of presenting information, you have these you don't just use text. Like document that I'm reading is all text. So this is not media. But if I had put, I maybe I put also something else, maybe video as part of these, some drums, some sound, so I need something more to this for it to become multimedia. But notice that this document is made using Microsoft Word, and Microsoft Word may not be able to allow me to add these other forms of media. Maybe at best, it may allow me to put a diagram, but putting for example, a sound clip here on Microsoft Word, well, that might be hard. So it means, therefore, when we are doing multimedia, we may need to have those. There should be the software that can enable us to develop a multimedia presentation. A more example I would think is PowerPoint, but even PowerPoint may lack in some things, but at least that's a little more familiar, because with the PowerPoint it's possible to add a text, but you can also put within it a video clip or a sound clip and things like that. But anyway, so let's continue with looking at the document again. At this point here, so multimedia, let me just lift this a little more up. So, okay, so multimedia is usually recorded and played, displayed, or accessed by information content processing devices, such as computerized and electronic devices, but can also be part of live performance. Multimedia devices are electronic media devices used to store and experience multimedia content. All right, so let me go. No, I think there is some text here which is important. Let's read this as well. Multimedia is distinguished from mixed media in fine art. So there is what is called mixed media, which is not necessarily calling multimedia. Essentially, I must say here, although we'll look across this later on again, about multimedia, is that it's mainly presented in electron way. So it's something that you put in a device, and then the device is the one which actually displays your multimedia. But you see, mixed media, in fact, this is not electronic, of course, is such a thing we know about. Fine. Okay. including audio, for example, it has a broader scope. Multimedia, by including audio. So yes, multimedia has a broader scope than mixed media. So then we also have another terminology, rich media. So again, the term rich media is synonymous for interactive multimedia. So if you have multimedia, more quite interactive, will again was interactive, that can be called rich media. There is another terminology, hypermedia. So hypermedia, it says, can be considered one particular multimedia application. In hypermedia, other forms apart from can be used to create links to other content in the document. So hypermedia is another terminology that we need to understand. Just in case it's still not clear, we'll come back to it later. So very quickly, let me highlight the elements of multimedia system. Elements of multimedia system. So multimedia means that computation can be represented through audio, image, video, and animation, in addition to traditional media of text and graphics. Hypermedia can be considered as one type of multimedia application. And so what are the elements of multimedia? Is actually all these that are listed here, the elements of audio, image, video, animation, text, and graphics. And one of the issues that sometimes arise is trying to differentiate between graphics and image. You see, graphics and image, because these two actually about graphics. They more like, images are graphics actually, but graphics is a more general term. Not really. Image is the one which is more broad. Image is more broad in that image can be still, but also moving. You see, like what we watch on a video or on a cinema. You see, those are, you see images, but we have images that are not in motion, like what you can put a photo. You put a photo, it's an image, but it is a still image, so to speak. It's still. So it's more goes for still images, but the word image may be both containing both the still images as well as moving, motion. They are in motion, they are image. Then we have categories multimedia. Because of time, I may not continue, I may not always give the whole, I may not read all the content of the document, or I'll just be picking on some key ones, and I keep jumping here and there. So with the categories, as you can see, we have actually multimedia broadly divided into linear and non-linear categories. And also, what are linear? Linear is a linear active content progresses often without any navigational control for the viewer. Okay, so when we have multimedia, where the content progresses often without any navigational control for the viewer, then that is linear. So you say linear progresses without any navigational control for the viewer, such as a cinema adaptation. So that's an example. scene presentation is a linear multimedia. Then for linear or even a cinema, a video, when you open a video like a video in YouTube, except you starting and stopping, you don't have a way of controlling is to what will come next. It just have to flow, and also you don't have to decide which is the next content that should come within the video. So it just continues from the end to the final end without needing your control. So that is linear. We have non-linear multimedia uses interactivity to control progress. Non-linear uses interactivity to control progress, since it allows free movement of all aspects of the multimedia in any order. So you can you have a lot of control when it comes to non-linear multimedia. It allows for activity, and we have some examples here. For example, computer games, self-instructed or self-paced computer-based training, the internet. The way we enter the website, you use a link to it, which is the next thing you want to look at, is the next thing you want to look at. You have so much control as to what should be displayed for you. So that is linear. So these are some examples of non-linear. Non-linear, that is, it uses interactivity. It allows interactivity. It gives interactivity to the viewer. So the viewer is able to interact with the presentation. So some examples there for computer games, and it's talking about self-instructed or self-paced computer-based training. And I've just mentioned also the web is also non-linear type of multimedia. This again, hypermedia. So hypermedia is an example of non-linear content, of course, but what is it exactly? So now we are familiar with the hypertext with the internet. We are familiar with hypertext. Now you can have a website which is text, is all text. So that, of course, you have the hypertext, but which are the links that will point and click, they move you to one type of content or other content in the website. So that's if the website is text, so that is not multimedia. But if that content also is mixed up with some video clip and some link that opens a video clip or an audio clip, you see, now that site has added other elements of media. Now that kind of a website is what we are calling hypermedia. If the content there has also other types of contents, like a video clip, audio clip, or the images, etc., then it becomes media. Then features of multimedia. Can I just highlight a bit of this? That multimedia may be viewed in person on stage, projected, muted, or played locally with media player. Multimedia games and simulations may be used in a physical environment with special effects. So the multimedia elements, I mean, games and simulations also another type of multimedia. The enhanced levels of activity. Sometimes we can do enhanced levels of interactivity. So enhanced levels of activity are made possible by combining multiple forms of media content. But depending on what multimedia content you have, it may vary. Online multimedia. It may vary. Online multimedia is increasingly becoming object-oriented and data-driven, enabling applications with collaborate end-user innovation and personalization on multiple forms of content over time. Examples of these range from multiple forms of content on websites like photo galleries with both images and tools being user updated, or simulations whose coefficient events, illustrations, animations, or videos are modifiable. So it's the way the technology is moving around, especially now. This is a minute talking about what we interact with in the websites. Briefly, just highlighting characteristics of multimedia systems. A multimedia system has 4 basic characteristics, which you can see there. The bullets. Multimedia systems must be computer controlled. Multimedia systems are integrated. The information they handle must be represented digitally. The interface to the final presentation of multimedia is usually interactive. The interface to the final presentation of multimedia is usually interactive. But as we have seen, sometimes we do have multimedia that is not interactive, depending on the mode of presentation that the developer is thinking about. Then sometimes it is not interactive. It's best if our multimedia is interactive. Well, let me take a short break there to interact again, just briefly, and then we'll continue. So again, I want to share and can interact briefly for about 5 minutes, and then we continue to look at the content of this document. Okay, so any questions, comments, any clarification in the content that we have looked at so far? Before we go on, we want to cover the whole of the document today. Sorry, I think we still will allow us some way of interacting. So, all right, let's see. Let me put you back to your mic. Okay, I think most of you now should be able to use your mic. Yes. So, any clarification in the content that we have looked at so far? Yes, Pelu. Pelu, any comment? Keep yes, Pelu.
No, sir, there is no comment.
Okay, okay.
There is no comment, yeah.
All right, that's okay. Emmanuel, any comment, any clarification so far? for Emmanuel. About Tevin. Tevin, in the comment, okay. Right. James Minor in the comment. No comment. Okay. So I think then we can go on. We should be closing in the discussion in the next half an hour, so that by 1:45 we will finish up our the presentation and more interaction again. All right. So I'm in the screen here again. The document displayed.
You are now on.
The document is coming on. Let me put our mic over there so we don't have a lot of echoes. Put comments, any comments to still use the our the chart on our left. Okay. Sorry, I think it's taking too long. Sorry for that. So let's see, taking long to come on. Let's see if you now be, yes, there it is. So you can see the again. All right, so let's look at more issues related to creating a multimedia presentation. Down here about the challenges. So challenges of multimedia projects, and well, some features of multimedia before we look at the challenges is that we go to well, I think it's helpful to look at all the bullets. So supporting multimedia applications of our computer network renders application distributed. Multimedia systems may have to render a variety of media at the same instant. A distinction from normal applications, there is a temporal relationship between many forms of media, and especially for video, video and audio, of course, mainly for video, but also for audio is very true as well. Then issues that arise, for example, sequencing the media. So the various components of media, how do you make sure that they are well sequenced, they are coming at the right point? Those are some issues. Synchronization is when you are again dealing with maybe two forms of media, and you need to make sure that again they are coming at the right time. So as it says here, if it's a video, video is you see the image, and you also hear the sound. So with the video, the issue of the lips and the sound, you are watching somebody is speaking, you see how the lips are trying to say the words that the person is speaking. But so how does that synchronize with the word? Do you see like somebody is spelling a K, but you are hearing an E? You see that issue. So you see the lip is saying K, and we actually hear that sound of the the K, the sound of the K. So the synchronization of some of these components of multimedia. So those are issues: sequencing, synchronization. And now, when we say that there is a temporal relationship between many forms of media, we're saying now it's about time. Time. We have to use this word also to say temporary. It's a short, but here we are saying just about the time relationship. Some things needs to show at the same time. If they don't show the same time, some is missing, and especially just what we've just said described about somebody speaking. Somebody is saying Kenya, it may not come, or it comes out before what we are seeing on lips. So that is a problem sometimes we experience with the media. And so the key issues multimedia systems need to deal with are what? So that's what we're looking at here briefly, that the key issues that media systems need to deal with are how to represent, store temporal information, information that has temporal relationship. Bullet 2, how to strictly maintain temporal relationships on playback or retrieval. What processes are involved in the above? The process involved, how do we handle that? It has to be represented digitally. So initial source of data needs to be digitized. Okay, so that's the issue that we need to handle. Data has to be represented digitally, and so any source of data needs to be digitized. So we will also be able to look at some digitization of some of the multimedia data. Then the last bullet here is that the data is large. Data is large, especially for audio and video. So these ones require a lot of space, or it creates a lot of data in terms of digital data. Therefore, storage, transfer, which is going to eat up bandwidth, what nowadays they talk about bundle. So transfer of bandwidth and processing overheads are high. Data compression techniques are for a very common feature when it comes to handling multimedia data or media presentations. So those are that we have to deal with when it comes to developing a multimedia presentation. We have to think ahead how we are going to handle these issues, the storage of temporal information, maintaining relationship, making sure that we have the devices for changing our data to digital, as well as the space. We need to be prepared with the space. How do we have sufficient space to store our presentation? Because to it, to a lot of space. Just a few means of doing a video, recording a video. I'm sure you must have experienced this with your mobile phone. Sometimes some of our mobile phones can record a video, and I'm sure you must have experienced that within a short time, it says that there is no for you to continue doing the video because a video creates a very large file in a short moment. Right. So, what are some of the applications? Multimedia, very, very used in many situations of life. So, about applications here, how does multimedia help? And we find it all over nowadays. And a few of these are highlighted here. I don't need to go this. I will ask the student to look at these during your own time and make sure that, of course, if you are required to give examples of where multimedia is applied or it is used, be able to give some of these examples. Of course, you can give others that may not be listed here necessarily. So, creative industries, that's an area where multimedia is applied. In commercial productions, of course, we have so much of these. They are nowadays used in advertising and other creative services. So commercial productions, entertainment, and in fine arts. So these are areas where we have multimedia being applied. In education, of course, creating maybe some presentations that is providing a lesson. Okay, a lesson like the one which I'm giving, but mine, of course, is multimedia because I'm not displaying anything here that is multimedia. But otherwise, at times you find that self-training or self-instruction presentations will have a lot of multimedia. So in education, we use multimedia in education, or even sometimes to just the lecturer can display some images, or during the time of the class, play a clip, a video clip or a sound clip. Well, there are some of the ways in it may be used in education. Then in engineering, especially in simulations in engineering, we can do a presentation that has something to do with engineering. So it's used engineering in industry, of course. Many times we also are using it in industry. So these are the various ways of using multimedia in the society. So industry, mathematical and the scientific research. So we also use a lot of this in the research, and also in mathematics, in medicine, multimedia. In medicine, maybe here we can just highlight this here. For example, doing a virtual surgery. So it helps to do a virtual surgery. So you just have an image rather than a person to price some kind of surgery. So you say maybe that one I can read. In medicine, doctors can get trained by looking at a virtual surgery, or they can simulate how the human body is affected by diseases, by viruses and bacteria, and then the techniques to prevent that. So in medicine, that's another one way of using multimedia in medicine. And then we use a lot of these multimedia in public places to display difference, display the like a lot of it about information and help. you display it, put it on a screen that runs on its own and is displaying information that can be to people that are new to something or to the area. So different, we display these in public places as multimedia. Well, I think that is up applications where we use multimedia in society generally. This other portion here, much of these I will let the student read on your own during your time, but maybe highlight one or two things. Like it says, convergence of media, convergence of multimedia. So virtual reality, there is something we call virtual reality. Some of you must have been reading about this technology of virtual reality, and says that at the convergence of technology and creative invention in multimedia is virtual reality. So there is what we're calling virtual reality, where you are put into an electronically developed presentation. Makes it look real life. You see you see an image, for example, you're watching something like that is virtual reality in your computer, and it is showing somebody, of course, a virtual person, who is walking around the house. You see them move the door, they enter in, several things, it looks so real. So this is what we are calling virtual reality. And you have a few presentations and even websites that have been created that show virtual reality. What we call the virtual worlds. We have virtual worlds down here, virtual worlds, and virtual worlds. There's a few websites that are showing virtual worlds. The most popular was Second Life. Second Life, of course, requires your computer to be very, very powerful to be able to display Second Life and watch a virtual world. There are people walking around and doing different things. You watch it and it looks so real. It's just watching a video, and yet it's not a video. It's something that's developed, just by programming. All right, so that's a virtual reality. Please read on that part document. Familiarize yourself with the concept of virtual reality. The other part here, which I don't intend to discuss it in detail, is just to highlight again, if you're creating a multimedia presentation, a multimedia project, that's what we say it, a multimedia project display, a presentation. And just repeating that is like what you would create using the PowerPoint. Most of us are familiar with PowerPoint. Something with the PowerPoint, we can call it a presentation. But now we're saying make it rich, multimedia rich. You see, many times we create a PowerPoint presentation, but it's all text. But you can make it multimedia rich, so that some of the slides are displaying a video clip. Some of the slides are displaying, or they are you have a sound clip, TC. You mix up all that, then it can be a multimedia present. So when you are doing that, what do you need to have in mind? What to take care of? And that is what this particular part here is dealing with. Stages, multimedia, application development. So what do you need to take care of? And that's what Kazia, again, as I said, intend to take time to do this. Please read on these again, take time and read on these. Say the following are the basic stages of multimedia project development. So what are they? Just brief highlighting. Number one, planning and costing. So you need to plan and you to cost what budget do you need to develop your project. So what are the resources, and therefore what is going to be the cost of you developing the multimedia presentation. Then of course there is a budget there, and you may need to develop a product to if you have been asked to develop this somebody, then so that they can pay for it, then you see you may need to develop a prototype so that you can show them ahead of the actual final work that you want to give them. And you need, of course, to do the design and produce design. Of course, design is almost part of the planning, but the design is a part on its own. And then you would go ahead and you produce the presentation. After that, of course, once you need to test it, so that it is really working well, it's working the way it is expected. So you have to do a lot of things and refining, testing, and finally, if it's ready to take it to the person that asked you to do this project for them. So you delete is a page of the multimedia development application development is just the project, deliver the completed product the end user. Of course, the end user may not be somebody that you asked you to prepare this project for them. It may just be that now it's a to-do presentation. So like now I'm doing a presentation. So you need now to have practiced it, and it is actually showing exactly the way it is expected, the very best of a presentation. But remember, here now we're talking about multimedia. So have you organized your various components properly? When will the video clip play? When will the sound clip play? When would certain types of text display? For example, a kind of a thing that you see on TV. You see TV is quite media. Displays images. Sometimes there is a video. Sometimes somebody who you just hear some speech. Maybe you don't see the image, but you hear some speech. That's a cloud. It's a sound clip. Sometimes it's a video. They show maybe there's flooding in Elgeyo Marakwet. They show you a video. Nation we are calling multimedia. They need to be patched properly. What comes when and how long is seen. Now, down here, there is an alternative way of looking at the stages of multimedia development, but it's an alternative approach, which is actually just giving it in a detailed format, which is very, very important. So please look at it well, because you look at this, now it's a detailed, it's a deep way of looking at the stages. And they are also explained here where each of these mean. So look at and make sure you are able to give it conceptualize, development plan, etc. when it is packaged and delivered. So there is takes us up to when it is delivered. Here, before the testing, right? Testing in this phase. Say the multimedia, what we are calling post-production here. In this phase, the multimedia enters the alpha and beta testing process. Alpha and beta testing process. So these are the testing stage, like we have said in the other part which is written in a summary format. So alpha beta testing. So to know about what is the concept of beta testing. So this alpha testing, what is beta test? Remember, these are the same thing that we have when we are talking about, for example, systems analysis and design, and we talk about the systems development life cycle. But of course, in this case, we are talking about a specific issue, the multimedia presentation. And so there are some words that are here that are not necessarily or mentioned in the SDLC. But they just match is only that we are now talking about a specific kind of a project. All right, so read all these is very important. What you need to have and how do you need to prepare yourself when you are creating or developing a multimedia project, a multimedia presentation. So the rest here, as it says, is summing up the issues document. And there are some lessons activities that are suggested here. They look at them also and try to do something. For example, it says a review two educational CD-ROMs and enumerate their features. Probably in this case, you don't have to go for ROMs. Of course, they are not so popular nowadays. Because now the internet has made things a little easier. So I think here, instead of saying CD-ROMs, I would just say look for an educational clip in one of the available platforms. The most obvious, of course, YouTube. You know, open and some educational video clips at YouTube, for example. Look at them and see. Enumerate their features. Just see how many of the elements of multimedia can you see of too few. I would say 5, so that you are able to see as many as you can. So that will be a good exercise to do. Look at that. Otherwise, I think we are done with today's session for my presentation. I open us back to do some interaction, some comments from the students, and we see how we close this class. So we're not closed up yet. We need to have a short time of interaction again. And so these documents, go to remove the share and also open the mics so that you are able to once again be able to interact with your mic and raise some concerns and also make some presentation, discuss anything that is relevant to us, make some seek for some clarification if necessary. As I said, continue also to write your comments at the chat to your left, the area to your left. Continue to write any comments and suggestions, even anything that you need for clarification, just in case we're not able to give it this time. I can always follow it up from your chat and give it. So I think now you should be able to make comments or seek clarification. Your mics be active again. So you can speak by your mic and address the class again. you are welcome. So any clarification you would need, or offer more suggestions, add a comment to our discussion, the issues that we have raised about multimedia, welcome. Yes, any clarification? From Brian, any clarification, comment from Brian? Brian, you're fine. Okay. All right, Eric, any comment you'd like to add? Eric? Yes, Emmanuel, are you say something?
No, I'm very fine. I'm okay.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Right. Tevin, I haven't heard from Tevin. How are you, Tevin? Okay, no comment so far. All right. About John, comment, John. What do you say? What do you say, John? Any comment you would like to use, John? So far, so good. All right. Well, as I said earlier, this session was to continue to use up our 3 hours. So each I will be having a discussion session using all discussion forums where the lecturer about area of discussion, and then we need to do a discussion waiting. Of course, the textual discussion. You write a text to just like you are doing with the chat. So we'll be having that where we have a discussion, and which we will of course be expected to display, to add our own comments, or that one we expected almost everybody to put after text comment. So we'll be having that. Otherwise, that is our time to should extend to at least 2.5 hours. Was so we use up the time normally the way we usually do in a phase. So yes, I agree with you, Kiprotich. We are very, very happy for a good start, and for John so far. So thank you. Yes, I am happy to learn that. It was very, very successful. That's James Minor says, and the session was good. No comment for Tevin. And so for now, allow us to break a bit. So this therefore will be last moment for this session. And so now this meeting will remain open up to 1:30. So the meeting open up to 1:30. So you can always to add moments there. I can see some of you are still playing around with my whiteboard. Please, yes, go ahead and play around with the whiteboard. Now, so you see the whiteboard. Unfortunately, I'm not very sure, but you should be able to remove the items that you put on the whiteboard by using these undo. We call them annotations. There is undo here. Sorry, I actually shared my screen so you can't see that. You see the no, sorry, this is okay because it's a hold. So you use undo, so you can remove the things that are added. You can remove them, and if you want somebody else to now write something else there, then you can clear by using when the screen can become, the whiteboard can become clear again, and somebody else can write something. The T is where you use for so delete. I think Emmanuel is writing something and Eric is writing something. Can I remove all your work there by clicking this one? This one clears everything. It's like the delete button. So let me first of all delete your items there. Okay, where it is using to go, but okay. So let me remove most of what you have written here by using the undo. All right, it's not allowing you to remove FZ. Otherwise, this T, the T, this notation here, the T, each of these are on the list here, which you use to do several. They are called annotations. So the T1 is where you actually create a text box and type something here, just like you would do in Microsoft Word. Okay. You can, some with as a good is writing something. So that's the whiteboard, which sometimes can share, write something, and somebody can write something else. But of course, it's not a permanent activity; is being recorded. What you write on this whiteboard is not permanent unless the session is being recorded. And unfortunately, I'm a recorder. You are zig things that are showing on the board on my video later on, because that one becomes permanent at the video. All right, so the meeting therefore remain open for a little more, a few more minutes, but the lecturer is now closing out. It will remain open maybe up to quarter past when I will completely close the meeting. But for the lecturer presentation ends now, and so I'm going to yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Because I can see that the session is being recorded. Can
Yes.
we find it even after the session?
Can we do what?
Can we find the recording even after the session for us to go through it again?
I think since it's being recorded, it will be what record will be available at the portal.
Okay.
The link for this session is called topic1 session 1 live meeting. So you'll see it at the portal at topic 1, and as soon as you click that, it will open where the recording has been stored, and then you can play the video.
Okay, so.
Yes, you're welcome. Any question? Any other question from a student before the lecturer leaves the meeting? The meeting, I'll keep them open for the next at least 15 minutes, but the lecturer will not be accessible after this. So any question? No question. All right then. Thank you so much for attending this session, and the very best for the day. And let's meet next for another session of multimedia implementation multimedia class. Thank you and goodbye.
That's it.